In a survival situation, water, shelter, and food are important. The first priority is to have clean, drinkable water. A second priority is to have shelter so that you are safe and you are dry and you are warm. And then a longer-term priority is to have food. Now, you don't have to have food immediately. You can last quite a while without too much food. Sometimes people think that you can just forage for wild edibles and you can eat the plants that they're around. And plants certainly can provide the vitamins, the minerals, the antioxidants, and things like that. But they don't provide very many calories. And so it's necessary to have more than just plants in most cases. It's necessary to have meat for long-term survival. Sure, you can survive for weeks with very little food, but long-term survival requires a large number of calories. And in our modern society, most of us don't realize that we have available to us even plants that have dense calories. They have a large number of calories. But in a wild setting, in a natural setting, calories are hard to come by. Nuts, like these acorns, probably provide more calories than almost anything else that you can find. But the survival shows that you see and most of the popular information that you can read, most of the information that's written about survival makes it seem as you can go pick a few berries and you have your breakfast. There's more to it than that. In the long term, you need to have meat and a dense source of calories, a large number of calories. My friend Merriwether, who has the blog Foraging Texas and a book about foraging, explains the importance of calories and that you don't usually get them from most of the things you can forage. And in fact, even meat that's available, you don't get enough meat. You have to have more than one squirrel a day, as an example, to have a sufficient number of calories. There is a blog that I'd like you to look at that explains it more. It's by Woodtrekker, and I've got the link to it down in the narrative below this video. Living Off the Land, Delusions and Misconceptions About Hunting and Gathering. And it shows some very clear information about what's really needed for long-term survival. I don't mean just survival a few months, but long-term survival. And when you look at the information in detail, it shows shockingly to me, how much is really needed and how far away our modern society is with foods that are dense with calories. Food that has the most calories from a plant standpoint is processed acorns. Acorns like these, for example, have 110 calories per ounce of plant material. That means you would need to eat 2 pounds of these per day, of processed acorns per day, in order to have enough calories in the long term. If you were to eat cattail root, as an example, it has 8 calories per ounce, or you would need to have 26 pounds of cattails per day in order to have enough calories. Say, or maybe something like blueberries. We all like to eat blueberries. They have 16 calories per ounce of plant material. That means you would have to have 13 pounds of blueberries per day to have enough calories. And so what I'm suggesting here is that you go out and do what my friend Darby at River Bend Survival says. To master it, you need to get out in the dirt and do it. Practice things. Practice foraging. Practice hunting, practice all sorts of things that you will need to do if you want to survive in a long-term sense out of the natural world. Now I have acorns here, and they have one of the most dense calories when they're processed, dense calories of any of the foods that you can have. Now, to process acorns, the usual method is to crack the shells off and then boil them in water and boil them again, draining off the water. You're draining off the tannins, the bitter taste, so that you can eat the acorns. This takes time and energy, and you have to calculate that energy that it takes to process the acorns into determining really how much this is worth. Now, there are different ways to process this. One is with heating it with water. There are other ancient ways of taking these acorns and putting them in a stream, and then tannins leach out of the acorns slowly over time and then use the acorns to eat. And there are other things that you can do that you can experiment with. You can try some different ways of doing it. My good friend Bill in the Hills, Billy Joe Denny, is awesome at trying new things. And he showed me a couple years ago an unusual way to process these acorns that you get all sorts of benefits from.
I'm right here going to process them.
Okay, so very soon you're going to steam them, and then we can use the vapor to make us breathe better and do all sorts of good things. You know, you're going to clean your hat
I'm
up.
going to clean my hat with it.
I need to clean my hat too. Mine's, yeah, it needs to be cleaned. Billy Joe's processing the acorns, and he found two little grubs in there.
Yeah, see those little bitty legs on that side and little bitty bumps on that side? Need to do a little bit more research about it, but I'm almost positive these are caterpillar larvae that get in the acorn after they've hit the ground.
You know, you can tell if an acorn has any insects in it by when you put it in water. The acorns that don't have any insects will go to the bottom, and those with insects will float to the top. And so if you're making acorns to eat and you don't want the grubs in them, just take the acorns that sink to the bottom when you boil them. You know, this looks really good over here. Now, Billy Joe, you're breaking the acorns up.
Yep.
And how are you processing them?
Well, I'm just pulling them out so far, and then we're going to kind of quarter them a little bit, and we're going to steam them up and make a little make a little cleaner to clean our hats with. Most anything with tannin in them, tannic acid, is antibacterial.
Well, I see right here, this is the container that you're going to put on the stove.
Mm-hmm.
And you have aluminum foil over the stainless steel.
Well, that's actually just a koozie, because I use this as a drinking cup. But on the inside, well, of course, I have some more stuff. But I set that spring, this little piece of stainless down at the bottom, which I use for other things as well. And this little guy here comes out and sits right on top of that spring, which my acorns set on top of, and put water down in the bottom and steam them.
And then the steam comes up, and
yep, comes right out.
We can use it to clean your nasal passages if you're stuffy nose.
Yep.
You feel better, and clean your hat.
And then we're going to try to eat one, and we're going to keep one control out so you can kind of taste it before cooking, and then we're going to taste one after steaming. I think they're pretty palatable, but I think that depends on which acorn you're eating too.
Okay, well, let's try it.
Okay, we're going to do it here in just a second. All right, well, we've got them steaming in here, and of course, well, I didn't show putting it in there, but we'll show the insides when we take it apart. But this steam vapor right here coming off the top definitely has oil in it too. You can hold your hand over it and you can actually feel it on your skin. And you can definitely inhale them vapors too to kind of lubricate your sinuses.
What does it smell like?
It's nutty smell. Just a nutty smell. But in the winter, you know, your sinuses will burn sometimes during a, you know, a cold hike. And of course, your natural body defense is to snot. And you can actually do this right here and kind of lubricate your sinuses, and it helps from the snot and some. So.
That's hot. Ooh.
Okay. What I've done is took my little handy dandy salt shaker there that I carry, and I have strained out the water and all the tannic acids in there.
Now, can you use that water on your hands too?
Yeah, it's just antibacterial type stuff.
That's really smooth and soft feeling.
Yeah, it's a hydrosol. It's got all the oils and tannins in it.
It feels like it would make my hands softer. Now that's the steamed.
Okay, and since I'm doing the project, I'll do the first little taste test.
Okay, so that's the steamed ones, and the unsteamed are those right there?
Right here.
Okay.
Oh, those are good.
The steamed ones are good?
Mm-hmm.
And the unsteamed?
They're really...
You're bitter?
They're really bitter. Sorry about that, everybody. That was really bitter.
I'm going to try it. So I'll have it.
Okay, so you're going to do the steamed one first.
This is the steamed one.
Because the controlled one will really wreck your palate.
That's not bad at all.
And we had how much boil time there? Maybe 10 minutes?
Yeah, that's a little bit bitter, so it maybe could boil longer. Now I'm going to take the smaller control one. Now this hasn't been steamed at all.
Right.
Oh my. Sorry guys. Oh, that's awful. This really works. And it's a lot faster. Oh man.
That's why I wanted you to do the steamed ones first, because they're really palatable, in my opinion.
This is terrible. That works. This is what an awesome tip. This is fantastic.
Yep, I think I'm gonna try.
You know, guys, you need to come see Billy Joe anywhere where he is, because you learn all sorts of really interesting stuff you've never seen before, and it works. I'm going to try it now. I'm going to do what he suggested, and so I'm going to first crack the shells off of some of these, and we'll speed this up so you don't have to see the whole thing. Here's the acorn. I'm going to take the shells off. Oh, they're bitter. They're really hard to eat. Now I'm going to do this cup full, this half a cup full. I had to throw away half of the acorns that I opened up because they were rotten. So these acorns look good enough to be used to process further. And the usual way to do that is to just boil them and then throw the boiled water away and throw the boiled water away several times until the tannins are leached out and you don't taste the bitterness anymore. And right now, I assure you, yep, these are bitter. I mean, they're terrible. They're really, really awful. Oh man. Okay, so I'm going to do it a little differently. This is my water. I put about a cup of water in there. Now I'm putting some aluminum foil on top, just crunching it up. because instead of boiling the acorns in the water, what I want to do is to steam them above the water. So I'm using this little bit of aluminum foil to make a riser so that they'll be above the water, and they'll just be steaming in the water. So just steaming. So I'm making a little like cup here for them to be in and for the steam to pass through them. Okay, so you can see how they are. Now, I'm going to use this alcohol stove. You can use any heat source that you want, and it won't take very long. But this is what I have. Got to get the pine needle in it. There, that's out now. Okay. That should be plenty. Nope, didn't get it yet. Now it's going. You have to be really careful with alcohol like this because you don't see the flame very easily. I'll put this like here to help it heat better. Little windscreen. Now I'm going to let it steam. And in a few minutes it'll be steaming. I'm guessing the reason it works faster than the traditional ways of boiling the acorns and then throwing off the water, boiling the acorns more and throwing off the water, is that because the acorns are at the surface of the water, and as the water level goes down, they're only exposed to the steam, which is pure water, and so the tannins are left behind in the water, and it's not necessary to drain the water again and again like you do in the traditional method. It's been about 15 minutes and the stove is out of alcohol. Let's see what happened. The acorns are up at the top in the steam. Let's see if they are bitter like they were before. They're not bad. They're not bitter. Although I should have broken them up into smaller pieces because in the center they're more bitter. On the edges, they're just fine. And so steaming like this does seem to work. What I'll do next time is I'll break the acorns into smaller pieces and try it again. Read the narrative below the video. It includes links to articles on how to forage for food, wild edibles, myths around wild edibles, and tips to obtain the greatest number of calories with the least amount of energy. And that's what's needed in a survival situation. Until next time, peace.